Okay, guys, and portfolio update 11th of May, Saturday night. This is what I do on a Saturday night sometimes. So I'll start off with the dollar, go to yields, then gold, silver, the miners, and then the actual individual stocks. But I don't want to spend too long on the yields or the dollar because, to be honest, gold sort of does its own thing. However, I must admit, when yields are going down or when the dollar's going down, you're more likely to see gold and the miners go up, which is typically what happens. But we have seen days where they go up in uniform, which should not be the case because they should be inversely correlated. With that said, so dollar has come down, right? I mean, it was doing quite well for some time. Remember, we broke out this descending, kept going. That made sense. Then we had a little bit of a double top, came back down. This is all FOMC related stuff, jobs, FOMC. But look at this drop down here. This candle here for me was not the most bearish. And since then, we've bounced back up and we kind of retested the scene of the crime, retested prior support. It's not really support, but we've gone back up into this trading range. And now I don't know. But if I am a betting man, and I am, but I'm not betting on the DXY, I feel like it should actually go back up. That's what I think, because this drop wasn't that bad. It's overall medium term. Long term, I'm bearish, of course, the dollar, but medium term going up and short term also, I think, going up. So I think it might go back up and test 106.5. I just don't think that's going to be a strong dollar surprise move that's going to scare gold and silver into a drop. So I don't think it's bad for commodities, but I do think it's going to go back up. Yields, yields, I think will also go back up. I think that, since the beginning of this year, everyone's been thinking, especially at the end of last year, that cuts are several cuts will definitely happen in this year, in 2024. But now it's like, oh, there might be one at the end of the year or after the election. Trump will probably be elected or something. But it's a far cry from that 6 cuts are priced in from the beginning of the year. So, and I think there may even be a increase on the table. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. But I think the markets are starting to realize that those cuts, you can forget about all those multiple cuts that were guaranteed, and then actually maybe there'll be a hike in there at some point. So I think we go back and test the old highs, quite simply. 30-year all the way back up, 10-year all the way back up to 5%, 5 years, same thing to 5%. The 2-year will probably lead the way to 5.3 essentially. So yields all the way back up. That'll probably help the dollar. And I don't think it's going to hurt gold. It may even help gold and silver. So that's what I think. Right, now with all that said, let's check out gold, silver, and miners. So Friday was an okay day, especially for gold. Gold was up 0.5%, just above. Did take, quite a bit of a retreat from its highs, but still a decent move. Friday's a weekly day, so the clock, weekly candle's good, right? Total reversal. We should test the old high, 24.20 next week. I still think that's what's going to happen. So Monday, a close above this high, 23.80 would be ideal, pretty much guaranteed the next day. But yeah, gold looks good. Just a bit of a drop there, from the high of day on Friday. Now, silver wasn't as good, but it had such a crazy move the day before. It's kind of forgivable, and also sort of testing 29 at some point, 28 sort of 70s. That's pretty much 29 to me. And after 29, it's just an entire slingshot to 30. And that's the danger zone. This is where you're gonna get a lot of selling. I don't listen to those, I don't listen anymore to those theories that they're in there manipulating. They manipulate everything, and they probably are manipulating this quite a lot, but I just don't have too much time to get into all the technicalities because it's just a bit too much for me. The silver exchange, they're selling the paper on this COMEX and buying back. It's okay. It's going to happen, right? You can't manipulate something indefinitely. Let's see. And obviously, they're not doing such a good track of manipulating gold and silver because obviously we've been screaming up, especially in gold. So I say that to say this. Next week, I reckon we test this week's highs. So 29 will be tested in silver, just as 23.80 gold. And then as soon as we close above it, as soon as we close above 29, that's it. We're going to visit 30 the next day. And it's all about just watching how it, what transpires. Like, can we, everyone's saying it, everyone's correct. Can we close above 30? And if we do, that's it. It's done. It might be an immediate reversal the next day just to screw with people like me, but pretty much it's done. We're going to go to 32, 34, 35, etc. And I think the miners will go crazy. So it was a good week. It was a nice bounce. Silver bounced off 26. It's absolutely perfect, right? You go to 30, and there were little levels on the way, and that kind of worked, but pretty much went straight up to 30. And I didn't expect it that quick, but that's chart adherence. It did what it was supposed to. Came back to 26, and now it's bouncing back up to 30. I mean, it's chartly speaking, perfect. Gold, obviously, we'd broken out ages ago, and it was just really, mooning, if I can say that. That's also, it found this little base down here. We identified it after several days, 2280-ish. Took out the descending, and now we go back up, test the old highs. And to be honest, the trend is your friend. The trend is up, so we should keep going up. I don't know if there's going to be a market surprise, but I think pretty much all stars are aligned, so you can rest assured we're going to go up. Now, GDXJ, SILJ, GDX, they had crazy moves. They've been outperforming the metals. They took their cue from silver on Friday. They had a red day. To be honest, some of the candles horrible, but they just weren't big moves down. They would just open a high of day, close a low of day. We're not ready for a new high kind of thing. It's fine. It kind of makes sense. It was just asking a bit too much. Otherwise, it would have been the perfect Friday. But some of the stocks still did quite well. So where are we now? We're looking like next week could be the week where we close at new highs since this entire bull market reignited, let's say. So we need to close above, let's look at GDXJ for example. We need to close above 45. Let's just do 45. That would really do it. SILJ, I mean, look at that. We actually pierced to make new highs. But again, that close at low of day is just not ready. We need to close above 12, especially 1220. And then finally, GDX. Same thing. Look at that. Absolutely kissed resistance. We need 36 close on GDX. And by the way, GDX could really start to scream up. Look at this descending, which some stocks have taken out, but not all of them. Actually, one thing that I never do, let's look at this. GDX against gold. Look at this descending breakout that we've done. Now, it doesn't mean it's just going to act like any standard chart, but that's pretty much something that's been waiting for some time. And it just, from every metric, it looks really good for the miners and the metals. It's just the miners have been leading the metals, and of all things, the silver miners and silver are outperforming their peers. So it looks just all aligned, but 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's never too ridiculous. Now, let's look at the portfolio. Newmont, pretty much looking at GDX. That's been fantastic, especially since that earnings surprise. All the way back down, bounce back up. This should be a leading candidate on the way up now. It's just come off the bat of really nice surprise earnings. You zoom out, it's a destroyed chart. It belongs all the way up in the 80s, probably. So this, if the miners and the metals start to push higher, this should really be one of the ones that just leads the way. It hasn't always done that. So let's close above 44. And then for me, next immediate resistance, 46. But I think that would be very easy. That's done in one day, actually, probably. The day after you close above 44, I think I moved to 46, 4%. That's very, very much something that should be expected. And then after that, yeah, 50s, 50, etc., etc. So 46 and 50 after 44 close. Let's look at gold. Look at that. Just naturally, I didn't even look at support, which is a terrible thing. Support will be the old low down here. Let's call it 40, just above 40. And you've got also a setting, so 40 will hold. Barrick Gold, yeah, we could pretty much say, go on, let's say that. All right, so 1750 for resistance, support down here, obviously 1620. And after this resistance, let's call it 1850/19, probably 19 at that point, probably 19, I think if we're going up here, it's because there's a serious breakout, and Barrick Gold is massively under-owned, and it'll probably start looking like it's going to touch its descending down sloping descending. So 19 on the way up, quite simply for Barrick Gold. I like that. Next one, Agnico-Eagle. This just always super strong. Look at that, it's actually green when it shouldn't have been on Friday. Also, popped its head above. Look at that amazing close on Thursday. I think I covered that. Yeah, and look, it's still closed above 68. So Agnico is just super strong and it's like an all-in sustaining monster cost-wise. Next stop, support is 68. Actually, if it does start to fade a little bit, I don't know. We can expect probably, you could probably expect some very short-term support here on the ascending, call it 65.50, probably 66 by the time we get there, if we get there. On the way up, I mean, I think 74, it could even say 70, 74, 74. Keep it simple. Then about 72. How much of a percentage move is that from where we are? 68, 9%. That's a big one. That'll probably take 2 days, so maybe it's not 74, but I'm looking for some long-term stuff, and 74 is not even long-term. But I'm going to keep it simple. 74 is resistance. I think it's just got the strength to keep going. I think it belongs all the way up. It belongs at new highs, along with, like stuff like Wheaton and Goldfields. This is one of the ones that belongs at all-time highs. Really, it's just absolute killer. Next one, Pan American Silver. This one really had a nice move on Thursday. Really nice. And you could tell it wanted to go back up to its next resistance, 2150, but it was not allowed to because of the sector dynamics. Support should be this resistance here, which it was. Call it 1950. And if it keeps going below that, then just above 18, I think. 1950 and 18. Now, if we can close above this 2050, then, well, really, it doesn't even matter if we don't close above. Next stop is 21. Yeah, 2150. It's very light, though. That's very light. Yeah, okay, I could see why I got that. Look at that. Bam, bam. These two here. Yeah, 2150 exactly. After we close above. Yeah, 2050, 2150, and then 24. Maybe 23.5. But this one should just, again, another one that belongs really at all-time highs. Maybe not immediately, but eventually, yeah, guaranteed in my opinion. And then up we go. I think this is the kind of stock that you're going to have to start looking at these crazy levels much higher. $30, for example, that we're getting there this year, in my opinion. That's 50% from where we are now. Yeah, support 80. Okay, I covered that. All right, SSRM. Next one, SSRM. Now, SSRM, I trimmed. I think I mentioned that in my last video because I had too much in it. I had too much in it. So it was more of a portfolio management sort of risk aversion thing rather than not having faith. But also it was quite weak and look at that, on Friday it did actually drop quite a bit. Closing at low of day, like a lot of them. I just felt the weakness, 550, a lot of selling. And it's just the chart isn't as good as some of the others. And I feel like this one can be having a plus 7% day in the near future when the others are down 3%. It's just it can work quite inversely to the GDX and the metals. Okay, so for me, resistance is actually 550, 560 definitely, but I think it's 550. I'll leave it at 560 because that on a daily chart looks like it is what it is. Now, support, yes, low fives, but I feel like it's hard to call. Yeah, okay, prior resistance. I'll leave it at 490. 490. If we close below that, we could start flushing. But this one I'll buy back down here. Definitely. I'll buy this one if it flushes because I think that the rally has not really taken place yet in this one as it has in others. And I think it belongs much higher than where it is. Even here it belonged higher, and that's before the drop. Even after the drop, it belongs at least at double digits, like 10. So this one I'd love to pick up with some of the proceeds of the others that I sold. But SSRM quite weak. Now, for me, there's clear skies until the descending. So if we do sort of surprise me and start closing above 560 and running, I'll keep it simple, $6, $6.50, $7, $7.50, but we're probably going to encounter this descending before all of that, maybe $7. So by 7, I mean 6.99. By 6.50, I mean 6.49, of course. So for now, I'm just going to say 5.60 and then 4.90, and then after that, we'll see. Right. Those are the seniors as I classify them. Let's look at Wheaton. Now I'm looking at royalty. Wow, that one almost hit its resistance at 58 and came all the way back down. Clear support 54. You can see that was prior resistance. So support is 54. Also have this ascending that's acting as sort of backup support. So it should be very strong here. In case it doesn't and it falls lower, I got $51. Or is it actually? Yeah, 51. Okay, that makes sense. Now, on the way up, but I'm really concentrating on the way up. Yeah, you can see this 58. In this case, now real resistance is going to be like 57, actually, in reality, 57. But we are flagging around all-time highs here, so fair enough. Once we take out this 58, 62, this ascending resistance, very rare stuff that I have here, but I think that's the next one. After you close above 58, you're basically at all-time highs, uncharted territory, blue skies. So that's why I've got the ascending. Amazing. I'm so happy I bought this one back on the drop. God, where was it? It was down here. 39. I was getting rid of it and then I actually bought it back. I'm very happy I held this. I think royalties are amazing holds in these types of times. But then again, even juniors are good holds if you choose the right one. I've actually sold all my juniors. I have no juniors, so it's just pure royalties, seniors, and some what I call medium tier miners. It's pretty much producers across the board. I don't think I have any, no explorers and no developers. I mean, you get big seniors that are developing miners, but yeah. All right, next one is Franco Nevada, which has been catching up. Yeah, Franklin, obviously everyone's had not the best Friday candle, but this one you can see it was outperforming the others this week. And it had a lot of catching up to do with some of them, but there you go. Friday just ruined the chart a little bit, but it's intact. I feel like next up 140, 140, maybe 138, but 140 is where we're going to be aiming for. We've clearly taken out this descending, all these mini zones. It was able to uh to overpower. I'm thinking here, this 128, be nice to have closed above that, but it just didn't, because that was price support and that's where we flushed from, but we've reclaimed it pretty much. So close above 128 and then up we go for 140 test. If we start to drop, I think this will be good support. It'll be a bit of a gap fill support at this point. I think it's very strong support actually, because even though we haven't tested that, I think it's proved itself and it was green on red days, and overall it's a monster stock. And I think this is one you can be pretty, reassured if buying it here 124, but obviously you can keep going lower. But I think it's quite strong and it's outperforming, especially recently, which is what counts the most. See if that counts too. Should have some strong support on the drop. So up we go to 140. Next one, Metalla. This one really underperforming. Yes, on Friday it had a green close, unlike the others, but it's really down in the doldrums. And it's definitely my weakest royalty. I really wanted to buy some last weekend. I made notes that I want to buy. It's one of 2 or 3 that I wanted to buy. To be honest, I bought back a bunch of them this week, like 2 or 3, not that many. Barrick Gold. I'm trying to remember which ones they were. Barrick Gold definitely. I trimmed more than I bought back though, didn't I? But Metalla was one of the ones. I'm trying to think of which ones I bought otherwise. Anyway, Metalla was one of the ones I did want to buy back, but I didn't in the end because I thought it's just a bit risky. It's like SBSW, Sibanye-Stillwater. It's just a bit risky. Yes, it's not worth as much as the others, but it's the high risk justifies the lower value in holdings compared to the others. But anyway, there you go. We've come back down. We're holding pretty much 290-ish support. Resistance. I've got this, but I don't think it really counts. There's no real resistance. You could say 319 maybe. It was before. Bear with me. This maybe not. If we reclaim 319, we're going straight back up. So let's say 290 on the way down, 320, and then the old 350, 360 levels. Very weak though, really. Not impressed with the Metalla. I was expecting more. But it probably just takes one big candle and it's straight away destined to test its old highs at 350. But there you go. The horizontals is what I think you would get. Any more drops and it's looking like all-time low, prior lows from down here, which doesn't really make sense. Right, that's the royalties done. Let's look at the silver boys. First, Majestic came back down from bad earnings. Nice ascending strength. I did not buy this one back. Did I? No, I don't think I did. But look, good bounce so far, really. I didn't expect it to bounce this much. Silver's obviously been okay, but yeah, I'm surprised it bounced this much. Obviously, I still hold a decent amount, but so far so good. It's like, how much of a bounce is that from this low sixes? 25%, that's okay. Next resistance, obviously the old high of this week now, so 760 something, 65. But after that, it's the old highs all the way up here, 840 something. So that's all you need to know for next week. The drop, just ascending is support. And after that, the old low down here. Keep it very simple. It's a good stock, though. It's a good stock, despite the bad earnings. Next one will be Fortuna. Wow, that's good. That's good. That's really good. I mean, look at that strength, continuation. Green, even though we had a bad Friday, above resistance. Yeah, that's a real resistance. That's just going to go to 550 next. Big round number, clear resistance from back here. And after that, $6, clear support during this period, big round number. This is easy to identify. So strong. And next one's 556. And after that, you're in this zone, Then it's probably 7, then 8, and then the test of 10. Wow. And it belongs there probably. Before you know it, you realize I was looking at it in the low twos, in the twos, and 1.5 years later in the tens. And yeah, that's one of the stocks that did a multi-bagger, and it's very well known. Good turnaround story too. I remember it had some like poor Mexican news, and now boom, really good support on the way down. It's going to be old resistance 490. After that, you can expect a bit of 450 to 430 buying down here. Very nice Fortuna. I like that. I'm really happy that I haven't trimmed some of these. Like some of these silver miners that have gone up so much, as you can see, I've really trimmed small amounts. CDE is one of them that I always trim. I can always, because it just makes so much money on the way up that it's always worth a lot, even after I trim. This one I did not sell, did I? I think I've cut my trims even smaller than they already were because I just realized how much I'm selling, but it's always worth so much. This one, it's my third biggest holding. First biggest holding after selling some SSRM. So SSRM is no longer my number one holding. Right now, it's Agnico-Eagle, then Pan America, then Coeur and I like that. I like all three of those, and I have no problem with them dropping. Okay, CDE. So resistance, we're at resistance. It's 550. If we can clear this little 550, we didn't do it on Friday. We popped our head above, but we closed way below 529-ish. So we close above 550. We should run to 6. After 6, we should run to 750, not even 7. So that's on the way up. On the way down, I mean, I think we're going to have quite a lot of support on the way down. I'm just checking if we got something like that. So on the way down, I mean, mid fours should be a really strong buy. And then fours, just above 4 should be extremely strong. And then obviously got the gap fill, but I don't see that happening. So there you go. That's CD. Again, CD is one of my favorites. Absolutely. By the way, when we do take out 750, this descending will come into play. And yeah, we'll see what that is. Right, next one is EXK. This one. I think this one hit the wires around the world on this plus, how much was it? 20 plus 17 plus 20 plus 22% day. I've forgotten what it was. It was an absolute rocket during this day. It was 17, yeah, well, basically 20% in a day. And it also took out this descending on that day. It closed way beyond it. So I don't care if I'm off by half a millimeter. It's definitely closed beyond it. This one I can now delete. This descending we've taken out. I'll keep it because it's only fresh. Next stop for me is clearly 385. Support will be prior resistance, which will actually be two areas. It will be the descending retest and the horizontal, which is the same thing, which is to say 310. So 310 support. Below that, just trying to find one now. Can you say something like that? Yeah, and then you got the highs up here. 290. I'll say 310 and 290. And after that, it's, well, whatever. We'll see. I don't see that happening, especially after this. And this is off good news too. So, is it surprise earnings? So, EXK on the upside, 385. It could keep going. Let's see. We need a good week. 420, 440. I mean, this thing's going to have to make up ground quite quickly. Yeah, let's just see if we can take out 380 because it's already had a monumental move. So it's still asking quite a bit, despite how bullish everything is. And after news, 380 would be quite a feat to get there by next week. But after that, yeah, let's see if it's, 420, 450, basically 450 is your real resistance. I'm quite inclined to just delete that. Do something like that. But you know what, just to be safe there, something like that. Although, yeah, 420 is also something. Whatever. And on the way down, covered. Okay, so that's EXK. Really amazing. Ever since this move all the way up here continued. And then here I was thinking, ooh, maybe it's going to come back down a bit more. No, we held, we kept going. And it's just after this could keep going. So EXK, I was in the black, sorry, in the red, not massive, but I just thought that's it, this one. And I really contemplated dumping this and putting it into Heckler or CDE and spreading the proceeds across all my current silver holdings, but I held it, and then this vertical move surprised me. I thought, okay, why not hold it? And I did trim on the way up, just up here. I remember my first trims, and now I'm like totally in the black despite all the early sells below my average. Now I'm clearly in the black, and I think it will go much higher. Absolutely love EXK. It's totally forgiven and forgotten. Everything sort of past. For performance, Mag Silver, not there yet. It had poor performance in the past, but it's had some nice moves. Again, Friday, we did make a new high. Obviously, we came back down 3%, not great, but still you can forgive it because it was a sector behavior. Just need to close that a little bit, just 1350. Give me that little 1350, and then we can really get to 1450 next level, and then who knows, maybe 17. At which point it's probably time to dump it and say, okay, it's done quite a lot. Yes, it'll probably keep going up because silver's making new highs. Because to get to 17, I'm sorry, you need silver above 30, above 32 probably. And by then, everything's gone up. And I would think that would be a good time to sell mag and get into something else. Whatever that is, depends on what's going on the stocks that I like at that time on a retracement. Obviously, I try and dump this at a high and then buy something else back 2 or 3 or 12 days later on a low. So that's it. Support, by the way, just this one here, 1150. After that, retest of here, but I don't see that happening, even for something like MAG. Right. ARMN, the little stealth monster. Look at this. I've been cheerleading this one for months. And ever since it was sort of making higher highs, higher lows, whilst the sector was making new lows, I said, look at this one. It has potential, and it's just constantly climbing this wall of worry. But this is a steep staircase. Honestly, nothing till 480. I've said that for some time, ever since we took out really here. I mean, I tried to find resistance on the way, knowing that 480 was so far away, but it's just constantly going. Again, new high. Look at that close above all the other highs. So it's just same, you know, here we are above 430. No obvious resistance until really 480. And I see that happening. What's that? Just above 10% from where we are now. You know, 11.5%. You can do that in 2 days. One good day. And that'll be my next sell. I really have not been touching this one at all with the sells. I've probably done 3 or 4 sells from down here. Normally I would have done like 8 or 9 or 10. So it's a very heavy holding actually. It's worth quite a lot. They all are, despite my constant trims. I absolutely love that. So yeah, 480 on the way down, like maybe it's probably not support. $4, it's just a little bit there. So maybe $4, just a psychology. And then after that, it's maybe here actually 370. Go on, I'll put that in. You never know when you can be surprised. I don't really believe in it too much. Yeah. That's quite a few too many lines. I might delete that later. I don't know. Something like this at least. Okay, now I am gold. That was the one that had good earnings and absolutely shot up. So this stole the show on Friday. Peter Schiff mentioned it like that. He probably owns it. Now, obviously, this one, you know, I chased and bought at 295 and at 305 during this period here. I really wanted it actually here, 270s, 280. I wanted to buy the breakout, but at that point, gold wasn't obviously breaking out. But I did buy the drop really well, I must admit. 295, 305, average 3, and here we are, 430. It's just up, I don't know, 40% or something from the average of 3. Yeah, 40 something percent. But this is strong. I knew this would happen. Now, where are we now? Obviously we're up 12% pretty much. You know, 1150. I've identified this area as resistance. I kind of agree with that. Obviously I would, but I still do. Sometimes I do rearrange things. I pretty much agree with that. Maybe 440. Yeah. But 430 is pretty good close. Looks like he wants to do more. Next stop, I don't see anything until 535, the old high all the way up here. I don't see 5 as resistance. I don't see 450 as resistance. I just see this one area, the high from over here. Whatever it really is. Let's call it 530 to be sure. Like trim at 529. Otherwise, support on the way down is going to be this ascending, which is going to be the old highs that we just gapped up in front of. So 380, 380-ish, something like this, which is pretty much the same as this resistance here, actually, isn't it? Just leave it like that. There you go. Just have one. Beautiful. Very happy. And to be honest, something that Schiff said, it was surprising how you're not getting sympathy moves. Like all the miners should be going up because it should be obvious that, hey, you're all going to get good earnings, you know, if you're a well-run company and didn't do any ridiculous operation or had any crazy losses like SSRM, your earnings must be great now. So it's surprised that there's no sympathy play amongst the others. Gold is quite well known. You know, when Newmont went up crazy, you'd expect those. Barrick Gold, Agnico-Eagle. It's quite, and it's just an opportunity for us. It's incredible. The sector is still not loved. So love it. Love what I saw for Gold. Okay, last one is SBSW, which is platinum palladium. This one is high risk. Reminds me of Metalla a bit in terms of the value I have in it. Metalla and this one are my lowest holdings just because of the high risk, especially this one, but this one can make crazy returns. Okay, for me, the support is really this sort of zone, 460. You know, I'll just do this now. Yes, I know that there were little pivot points in the past. I don't need to highlight them. Okay. That's pretty much your support. After that, it's $4, and you don't really want to go below that because you can have a bit of a flush out. But I don't do stop losses. I use mental stop losses, and I'm not getting out of this one until something dramatic if something dramatic happens. Resistance 520. We need to close above. I've got to close above 530. Maybe 520. Just these two little candles. Let's just close above Friday's high, and then you're pretty much guaranteed to run all the way up to the old highs. Call them 5 580, 580. Close above 580, up we go, and we are done with this bottom. You know, at that point, become a bit of a W bottom, and you know, double bottom. So for me, I'm watching 3 levels, 4 levels. I've got $4 on the drop. I got the old low over here, 460. Let's say you don't want to close above that, below that. And on the way up, 520. And once you close above that, you're at 580. Close above that, and up you run to new uncharted territory. Sort of looking at the short term, last couple of months. Right, that'll do. I stop now. I don't want to do 2-hour videos. I think that one was quite long, but I covered all my stocks, the usual suspects, and I'll try and get to some of the others. It's just, you know, that's an extra half an hour. I'm exhausted, and you might be too watching this. For example, the Equinox, need to get to that. That one's had nice drops, but I think that's a great buy. B2 Gold has come up quite a bit since the drop. I think the Mali operation, I think I mentioned this in one of my last videos, that yeah, I don't like the fact that it's got its biggest asset in Mali, but I think that's been priced in and might have been over dramatized. And I do like, again, I'm returning to this one. I'm thinking I would like to have one more beast, senior, high dividend, sound management, good history, etc., like tick all the boxes. Yes, it does have this African element, and I think we're getting kicked out of everywhere. Latin America, Africa, you know, we are now the second empire. It's time to be honest. And mining is so, why am I in this? Mining is very, very risky when it comes to that. It's not the kind of risk you get in tech stocks. You know, you can have your headquarters in Finland, for example. You just, you know, taxes is all you have to worry about. You don't really have to worry about war as much, but it is what it is. And Mali, I just feel like B2 Gold deserves a spot on the table, and I'm still stuck between, I had Eldorado, which I don't really want to chase at this point, Hecla, which I don't really want to chase at this point, Equinox, which has been decked and looks good, and B2 Gold, which has been decked and looks good. Because I'm actually, so that means I'm now looking at Equinox and B2 Gold, and I'll have space for both. So I will cover that in my next video, but that was my portfolio update. I hope you appreciate it. Otherwise, have a very good weekend, and good luck to all of us next week otherwise.